What's going on, guys? So in a previous video you saw how we loaded up our bikes whenever we're going to go out biking, and we use what's called a Thule tailgate cover. It's essentially a mat that goes over the tailgate of a truck, and then you simply rest the front fork over the back of your tailgate, and it protects your tailgate from possibly getting damaged. Now I'm going to show you a product for my daughter's car. So we're going to unbox this Thule Passage 3 rear mounted bike rack assembly that can carry up to 3 bikes on the back of her Hyundai Elantra. Hang tight, we'll be right back. Alright, so if you have an SUV or a car that does not have a rear receiver on it, or you don't have a luggage rack on top of your vehicle, this is one of the few options that you have to carry your bikes around with you, unless you just want to throw them in the trunk of your vehicle. This is a very convenient, even though it takes some time to install, way to carry your bikes on the back of your vehicle. Now what you really need to pay attention to is making sure that your straps are tight and everything is secured properly, because what you don't want to have happen is the bike rack fall off when you're carrying bikes going down the highway. So we're going to unbox this and we're going to install it on the back of the Elantra so you can see the proper way to install one of these and how tight all the straps should be, and really how to use this whenever you're going to be hauling bikes on the back of a sedan, a small SUV, or a vehicle without a receiver hitch. Okay, so we have all the parts unboxed. What you see in front of you are the 2 arms that the bikes actually rest on. They come off of this rack assembly right here, which actually attaches to the back of the vehicle. And then you have all your straps that hold the bike down. So you also have these nylon straps, which are going to attach to the side, the back, and the bottom of the trunk assembly to secure this to the vehicle. And those are probably the most important of everything, simply because those are what you're going to rely on to keep your bike attached to the back of your vehicle when going down the road. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is take your arms and you want to snap them into the holes on the rack assembly. You're going to squeeze the ends in right here, and you're simply going to push them in until they snap in place. Once they snap in place, they'll fall into these little holes here. So I'm going to take the arm, I'm going to slide it into place, and now you can see it's locked. What's nice about this system is you can press these in and you can rotate the assembly around, which puts it in its bike carrying position, and then whenever you're not using it, you can rotate them back and it just puts them closer to the vehicle. And you'll see that whenever we get it installed on the back of the vehicle. I'm going to put the other arm in over here. Those are in now as well. So this is what the side profile of the rack's going to look like when it's closed. Now the next thing you're going to need to do is unscrew these little wing nuts right here. These are what allow you to separate the rack to actually place it over the back trunk of the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and take both of these out. On the inside, you'll see that you have several different adjustments, and this allows you to adjust the opening to the different types of vehicles that this might go on. Keep in mind, some SUVs have a spoiler that comes out over the back window, and this is not advised for vehicles with that, simply because it'll put too much pressure on the spoiler whenever you have all your clamps tightened down. So now you can see that this arm swings up freely because we removed the wing nuts. And the wing nuts, once we get this to the right position, we're simply going to screw these back in place and it will secure this open to fit the specific vehicle that you have. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is open it up and we're going to place it on the back deck lid of the vehicle. One thing you might notice is down here towards the bumper, we have this resting against the bumper. It's not resting against the vehicle. Some vehicles will require that this actually rest against the back. This vehicle does not, because the bumper protrudes off the back. Not all vehicles are like that. Up here, you'll see that this part kind of rests in this area, and I usually like to have these pads as far back on the trunk as possible without actually hitting the glass. So I'm going to lock it right in about this position. I'm going to find the appropriate hole right here, and then I'll simply drop a pin in, screw it in place. So I want to go to the number 7 mark. Do the same on this side. Okay, now it's fitted to this vehicle, so there's not really a lot I need to do in terms of closing this up, unless I really need it compacted so I can fit it in a storage area. I'm going to go ahead and release my top straps on both sides. And I'm going to hook my top straps with these little metal protective loops around the back top portion of the trunk. And I'm going to tighten this little strap right here. Now that I have one in place, it's kind of held up by itself a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and take my next strap, do the same thing to the other side. So now I have it pretty much secured in place so I don't have to constantly hold on to it to keep it from falling. But you'll see it stretched this part out a little bit and moved this slightly up, and now there's pressure on it. So this is going to support any type of weight coming down on it from causing it to fall off. Where the rest of these straps come into play is to secure the rest of it around the vehicle as well. So I'm going to take this side strap right here, and one thing I really like about this system is they place straps in a very convenient spot so you kind of know instinctively where they're going to connect to. And put this strap right around the side here. I'm not going to tighten these completely because this is essentially a pass-through strap, which means the other end of it coming out of here is going to connect to the bottom right here. If it doesn't go in the right way originally, you can kind of work it in from the side here, or you can even pop your trunk to do it, but this usually takes messing with it for a little bit. Now we're going to come around to the other side. I'm going to take the black strap, find a place that I can kind of feed it in under here. Right there. I'm going to take the other end of it, pull some slack out of it first. I'm going to feed it under here. What also can work for you is if you pop the trunk just a little bit so you have room to fit it in the gap here, and then press the trunk closed. You're not really going to be able to slam it if this is all set up properly, but you will be able to move it slightly. I'm going to tighten this strap down really well. Okay, so now you can see that all the straps have been tightened down and it really doesn't move. I'm actually moving the vehicle, and this thing is really, really locked on here well. So what I do is I usually give these straps just a little bit more of a tug, because what you don't want to have happen is while you're going down the road and a strap becomes loose, making sure it's tight right now will save you a lot of headache potentially later. You're going to have all this extra slack coming out, and what I usually do is I'll curl it up like this, I'll put it around, and then I'll just tie the slack off. They give you so much extra slack because it's designed to work with other types of vehicles that may need that additional slack. In some cases, you can actually take some of this slack and you can kind of wrap it around the bike. This one will do the same thing. And feed it back through. And you're going to do the same thing down here with these as well. There you go. Now you're ready to load your bikes. Before you load your bikes, you're going to take these arms, you're going to press in right here, and you're going to flip these around. There we go. And this thing, again, very secured to the vehicle. So what I don't recommend you ever do is exceed the capacity that this is designed for. Okay, so this Thule Passage 3 bike rack is going to be able to support 3 bikes with a total combined weight of up to a little over 100 pounds. So right around 103 pounds is going to be the maximum capacity of this specific setup. In our case, most of the bikes that we have weigh between about 28 and 33 pounds, so we're not going to go up to that maximum limit, but for the sake of carrying bikes on here, we're really only going to load it up with 2 bikes at a time. Okay, so you have all these straps that come with it, and these straps are actually used to secure the bike down. So I'm going to put one right here, one right here, one right here, and one right here. You get plenty of extra straps as well. So I also have a strap right here. And again, you can keep them on here even if you only plan on carrying 2 bikes, just in case you pick up a third. Okay, so I've already installed one of these, what they call sway control, and this prevents the bike from rocking back and forth. And I had to install one to kind of figure out how you did it. So you're going to space these every other mount. So because one bike will face one way, the other bike will face the other way, this one is going to face this way. This one's going to go right here facing the opposite way. The final one will go right here. There we go. So again, these press up against the frame, and you use your remaining straps to secure the frame of the bike to this as well. So we're going to hook the remaining straps around here. Just like that. We're going to grab some bikes, we're going to throw them on here and see how it works. Okay, so we have the first bike here. This is a medium-sized giant mountain bike. You can see that the tube right here is tilted back slightly, so you're going to want to put the tube over the rails and slide it in place. Once you have the first bike in place, you'll take your rubber clamp right here, put it around the frame to secure it, just like that. As you can see, there's obstacles, but they make these really flexible, so you still don't really have to worry about that. Then you're going to take this sway control portion right here, you're going to swing it down so it's against this portion of the frame, wrap this around, and there you go. So now the bike is actually really well secured. Okay, so we've placed the second bike on, and we did it off camera because we needed to kind of finagle it. This has a very, very compact frame to it, and because of that, you have to kind of work with where you're going to place it. So I'm going to move the bike up a little bit more here. You'll see that I have a space right here to feed this rubber strap through. It's going to hold the bike right there, and then I have another one right here, which I'll just route around this brake line. I'll secure it right there. And then you have your sway control down here, which will simply route right here. And again, all this is designed to do is to keep the bike from just flopping way out here, and it does control it, so it kind of springs it back into place because these are rubber straps. Okay, so we have one final strap that's included, and this strap is used to kind of secure around the whole assembly here in the center, just to tighten everything up against the rack to give it less room to move around. You're going to take the strap, feed it through the frame right here, then through the frame over here, go all the way around the back side of the rack, come back right here, and then you're going to feed this through the top and then back in like that, and then you'll tighten this whole assembly. And you can just kind of hang that back here if you want. So now the bikes are very secure. But before you hit the road, even though everything looks secure, we need to recheck our straps to make sure everything's tight there as well, because I guarantee you this frame is flexed in slightly and some of those straps are going to be loose. Okay, so first we're going to start on the passenger side. And you can see the strap has loosened a bit, and we're just going to tighten it up. So now that strap is tight. Let's move to the other side. Now we're on this side. Going to make sure that one's tight. And then my two lower straps right here, on older systems, they were on their own little tie-down point to the actual mount, so you'd have to tighten those. But because this feeds up through here and it feeds back down, it's one strap. So as I tighten this one, it also tightens that one. But now, the bike assembly is very secure to the vehicle. The whole car is shaking as I move the actual rack now. Okay, so there you have it. Both bikes mounted to the back of the car. We did things a little bit different than some people might. With two bikes, we went ahead and spaced one bike on the closest clamp and the other bike on the furthest clamp, leaving the center empty. And that gives us the ability with these larger mountain bikes to have two of them without them rubbing up against each other while you're going down the road. It secures them very well to the vehicle. This is a very tried and true method of hauling bikes around. This is something a lot of people have used for a long time, especially if your vehicle isn't compatible with any other type of system or you don't have a receiver hitch to use that style of bike rack on your vehicle. Overall, though, it's a reliable method so long as you make sure that all your straps are sufficiently tight, that you've done a good job making sure that everything is really nice and snug and you don't have the chance that anything's going to loosen up if you hit a bump. Now, you don't want to go over extreme terrain with something like this. I know some people probably do, but you're going to want to be careful not to go over any huge bumps that could cause the strap to come undone or possibly loosen. I know that sounds scary, but I have hauled bikes around with this method for a long time, and I've never had a failure. I've never had a strap come loose. Actually, I probably have had some straps come slightly loose, but nothing that would ever cause the bikes to dislodge from the vehicle, and that's important. Make sure everything is tight. Make sure you have your tubes all fastened down. Make sure that you have a strap to secure everything tight tighter against this main assembly right here, and you should be in good shape. It really comes down to preparation and just going back and checking before you hit the road to make sure all your straps are safe. But this system works well because the majority of the weight is pressing down right here. It's pressing down on the bumper cover as opposed to simply just pulling up on the rear deck lid. And because of that, you're not putting all the pressure on the trunk lid itself. So that's important. Anyways, guys, we're going to hit the road. We're going to see how this thing carries these bikes. Hopefully we don't have any issues. I don't think we will. I will leave a link in the description of this video if this is something you might be interested in. These are affordable. They're easy to install. They don't take that much time. Full setup from unboxing it to getting on your vehicle is probably 10 minutes. You can do it in much, much less time if you've done it a lot or if you get used to doing it. You kind of know where all your anchor points are. Unloading your bike is very quick, and then when you're not around your vehicle, it's less likely to get stolen than some systems, even though I would recommend you detach it from the vehicle, throw it in the trunk, just so you don't give an opportunist thief something to take. So something you may want to consider with some of the extra slack on a strap, as long as you're pulling the strap in a way that it's not going to potentially release it, is to wrap it around your tires just to keep the tires from swinging freely whenever you're driving down the road. That's something I forgot to do when we left, but it's something I always remembered doing whenever I used these in the past. Okay, so there you have it. That is the Thule Passage 3 3-bike trunk-mounted bike carrier using straps. It's pretty cool. It works really well. It's easy to install. With practice, you could probably get it on the vehicle and off the vehicle in under a minute or so. It's very convenient because it works on so many different types of vehicles. And I think it's actually a pretty good value for what you get, simply because it's very versatile, it's compact, it's easy to remove, it's easy to put on, it's built by a reputable company, it folds down in a pretty compact fashion whenever it is removed, and it's just a very tried and true method of carrying bikes around. Anyways, guys, I'll put a link in the description. I want to give a big shout out to the folks at eTrailer for providing this specific rack for review and evaluation. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.